Hello, everybody. This is Dottie Berry, and I'm the Google Hangout maven and the person who loves tiny homes. So recently I've started a page, a community page for people, Tiny Homes Revolution. Just search for that. You can find us. But I'm really excited today because I've got Ian Kent, and he is the gentleman who has developed what we call NOMAD Micro Homes. And here we are standing in one. This is one in the Pacific Northwest of North America, so to speak. So recently completed one. I mean, Ian, you know, some of the things I have to ask you, and we'll kind of, maybe we can go up and show that loft there. This is how big?
This is 100 square feet on the main floor, and then you've got a 60 square foot loft space up above that you can use for storage or whatever you want.
Wow. So what led you to do something like this? I mean, you're 35 years. Let me just properly introduce this gentleman. 35 years in the industry of commercial, residential, and now this is like a shift. I mean, I saw your video. You're on your bike. You're talking about this paradigm shift that has to happen in our thinking. What led you in your thinking to create something like this?
35 years of building in a city is a lot of headache and stress, and financing it contributes to that as well. And it's an industry that I just found that I needed a change in, and so I combined all my experience from design, and I basically put it into trying to create something that the masses, because Vancouver and many of the cities are very expensive for people to live, I decided to put all that effort into creating a unit that was affordable and that could be accessible to the biggest part of the population. Basically, people that are working 9 to 5 with regular jobs, and came up with Nomad. I mean, the exercise was to try and find the smallest footprint and make it work.
Yeah.
And under 100 square feet is quite nice because it is low impact for neighbors. Will fit in a backyard very well without any disturbance. Doesn't even affect the land that it's on if you put it on screw piles. So it's very environmental, and this is what we came up with. Everything works twice for its size. So.
Wow. Well, for those of you who may not know, what is the definition of a tiny home? And I'm sure it's like any other definition. People have their different ideas. But in general, it can be anywhere from 80 square feet to 800. Now, that sounds like a wide range. But like even in the U.S., where I'm from, the average home size is still almost 2,600 feet. That's insane with what's going on in our economy. So we personally... we took a year-long journey around the U.S. in a little 13-foot trailer in 2005 and 6, and we came back and we downsized. We thought, oh, 1,100 square feet, you know, but about 200 of that is a sunroom. So we also have a 400 square foot cottage next to it. So we're in that tiny space that really appeals to me. And so, like, I'm thinking over in that side yard, you know, this is I don't know, it's great to show people. I want to show people what's possible. That's what so when I found you, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's my birthday. What would I rather do than meet with somebody who has exciting ideas? And I know you put together a great team. Can you tell me how you all came together? Because you've got a couple other people working with you in your company, and it sounds really exciting from what I read about them.
Yeah, well, we've got a great lady that has done a lot of real estate marketing with me in the past years. Her name is Joy, and she has done multifamily projects and lots of work in the industry, food writing and so on, and advertising. So she was a natural. She's been on Facebook and just doing a wonderful job for us. We have, I think, just peaked 20,000 followers now in about a year and a half, which is pretty great. And a fellow by the name of Terry Beach, who is our advisor. He's a prof at one of the local universities here in entrepreneurship.
I love that.
running for the Liberal federal party right now, and he was actually one of the youngest aldermen ever in British Columbia. So very progressive, owns several companies.
Hello, everybody. This is Dottie Berry.
Oh,
and,
you know what?
on the Google Hangout page.
It's okay. It's hooking into where I've got it.
Recently, I started a page.
You know, these things happen sometimes.
Tiny Homes Revolution.
This
Just
always
search for
makes
that,
it
you'll find
fun.
us. But I'm really excited today because I've got Ian Kent, and he is the gentleman who has developed what we call NOMAD.
Okay, I just had to get that off. You know, we were kind of like on the fly here. We actually hooked in with Ian's internet on his phone. So we're having some really fun things happen. What's happening there, Ian, is this is actually playing on Facebook as we speak.
Oh, right.
A Google Hangout, for those of you who do not know, is simply a YouTube video that's live. Google owns YouTube, and when this finishes, for those people who didn't get to see it live, it's an evergreen YouTube video. When people say, what is a Google Hangout? I say, you know what YouTube is? Okay, it's a YouTube video going live. And what happened was, I have it, and some of you all got that link this morning where you could watch, and I had that up, so it started rolling. Anyway.
So we're just hanging out.
We're just hanging out here, hanging out. So, got a few questions I do want to ask you to get covered here. And that is, you know, what are some of the key benefits of the NOMAD Micro Home? I mean, it's unique, it's innovative, it's sustainable. Let's talk about a few of those features.
Well, just in its size alone is a benefit. As I said, it's low impact. And its size also allows it to use services very efficiently. So if you're going off-grid, some of our off-grid technologies can actually work because you're really just servicing one room. Other advantages are the unit is very, very light, the way it's constructed, and it's small because it's a small package because it is a small house, so it gets to go anywhere cheap, globally.
In a container.
In a 20-foot container, you might even get 2 of them in, if you really try.
So I was thinking maybe I could buy that container too once they ship it. I mean, you know, you really, when you start looking at resources and what's being done, I'm actually going down. There's a company in London called Simple Box, and they have containers. And I'm going to go interview them, you know, about the containers and how they're putting them in their homes. That's a little bit different situation.
That's kind of an interesting idea, though, because it would provide that extra storage and whatever you needed your other room for.
Right.
Alternatively, you can buy another Nomad and connect them to
That's one thing I wanted to ask you about, because, you know, let's face it, 100 square feet is great for one person. 2 people even. Some people have a couple of kids and they're thinking, oh, we've got to have a 2,600 square foot home. Really? I mean, like maybe if you had something smaller, kids would be out playing, exercising.
No, we can create 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, kitchen, living, dining, and an office in 200 square feet.
Wow. I mean.
And it's a very comfortable layout, actually. It gives you privacy in different rooms.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, the way it doesn't impact because of the footprint of it and how you put it together. I found that really fascinating when I was reading about it.
Well, another advantage of the way Nomad is constructed and its size is that it's light and therefore doesn't need a very substantial foundation. So at $20, for $20 at Home Depot, you can purchase what they call a screw pile or a ground screw. And you hand auger those into the ground using a 2x4 for torque and just walking around in circles. And putting 4 of those in, and then there's a fine adjustment on top with post holders. You can lay some treated beams across and then start laying your Nomad panels right on top of that. So in an afternoon, you can have the foundations in and start it on your floor panels for the Nomad. And you're not touching the ground, only 4 tiny spots.
So this is important because I'm sure some of you all know the challenge today is some of the zoning laws, I don't care where you go, they've been structured in such a way that it makes this wrong. But
in some places.
But the way you've done that structure is incredibly important because no permanent foundation, and that's a real key. Even if we start talking about, things on wheels, which is one of my questions. Can you put this on wheels? That's another idea I have. But
So that's incredibly important in terms of how you place these. And what has your experience been so far in that arena?
Well, just like the zoning for minimum size, every town and city has its own set of bylaws. Now, we're not talking about the National Building Code or the International Building Code in the US. We're talking about bylaws, and every little town can have their own set. So some towns don't have a minimum size. They forgot. So, or they are welcoming smaller units now that they're starting to think about those things. And NOMAD is able to come in, like several parts of this area. Sort of what the question at the beginning was to...
Well, just because of not having the foundation that's permanent.
Yeah, so just like there's bylaws for minimum dwelling size, there are also bylaws for, or definitions in their bylaw for temporary structures and non-temporary structures.
Right.
So if you fit within their non-temporary structure, it could be crazy things like you have to be able to deconstruct the house in 12 hours. There's a town around here that actually has one. So you just have to check out your bylaws. But most of them do have a temporary structures permit. It could be ongoing, or it could have a time limit. You just don't know. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that's interesting is just like, maybe Vancouver, Seattle, big towns, they're really looking for ways, number one, to make things affordable, and there's only so much space. Those are two things you have to consider.
Yeah.
But also think about the small towns in the United States, for instance. I believe that Spur, Texas, is now calling itself the tiny home capital of the world, so to speak, because they said, hey, we want you to come to our town, because they're looking at the economic benefit. There are only 1,000 people in this little town, and they're saying, this is going to be an economic boom for us. Now, we're not probably going to grow to 100,000, but you can get the small town living, but we welcome you. We've changed our bylaws specifically, and they're putting the welcome mat out. I think we're going to see some of that. Do you?
We already are. In Portland, the mayor has been very aggressive recently in the news, stating that they have announced, or they've announced a project for homeless there. They've designated a piece of property and made a deal with one of the local tiny home builders there. They're larger than this unit, but I think there's, I'm trying to remember how many units, 20, 30 units, something like that.
I think that's Stepwell, and I've been talking with them. In fact, when I was looking and researching, I came across them, and you and them were the two key groups that I was just really, I don't resonate with, because my desire is twofold. Number one is to create affordable housing for people, for homeless communities like they're doing in Oregon, or people who make less than $15,000. And the other group is just people who want to downsize and actually have a home. I mean, in the U.S., we look at kids coming out of college. Good luck with being able to own a home anytime soon. We're going to be 10 years into paying off college debt if they go to college.
There's a perfect little house to pay that off.
Yeah. So anyway, these are great things. Can you put these on wheels? Have you thought about that?
I mean, you could. However, it's 10 feet wide as opposed to 8. So most tiny home trailers,
8 by 20.
when you're trying to make them in accordance with the mobile home specifications. And I believe there's certain laws on the highway for 8 foot or more. You have to have special permits, that kind of thing. So NOMAD would probably have to have a special permit. Also, the height is in question, because we're about 13 feet. Just the structure. When you put that on a flatbed truck or a trailer, you're not going to be able to get under some of the underpasses. So our model has really been focused on flat packing and building very quickly within a few days, as opposed to trucking it around the nation because it is more expensive to truck it that way than to ship it that way.
So there's 4 days that you can build this in? Is that right?
We can erect the structure, and we were at the Globe 2014 in Vancouver, or the conference. We erected the structure in about 6 hours. And then it took us the rest of maybe a day or so to sort of outfit the interior. I'm suggesting that it would take about 4 or 5 days, something like that, for a couple of handymen to finish it off.
Or handy women,
or
as it might be.
That's right, handy people.
Handy people, there you go.
Yeah, and so this brings me to, like globally, if a disaster happens, I mean, this could be incredible for helping with, the Red Cross or something like that. I think you gave an example of that.
Yes. Well, it's one of the markets that we'll be approaching, and it will be more of a niche market within those, I believe, because there's some pretty large companies already set up for those with the FEMA type trailers and so on, right? But Nomad is going to be less cost, and it's actually going to feel more like a home than a trailer. Right. So that's where that niche will be created, I believe. Yeah.
Well, Robbie's been very nice to hold the computer here. So could we go up and we'll just kind of walk up? I'll take it, and we'll kind of walk up and see how this works. You want to go first or lead the way?
Why don't you make the computer?
I'm gonna do this as we speak. I'm carrying it very carefully. Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness.
How do those stairs feel?
Oh my goodness. What's that now?
I said, how did the stairs feel when you walked up?
Oh, it felt great, actually, Okay. Hey, I'm just sort of looking here, showing the outside. Yeah. So we're right here, and this is the loft, and how big is it?
This is 60 square feet.
And
if you point it over there, there's a fairly good sized closet that's built in.
Oh, right over here?
Yeah. And the bed area, right now it's suited for a double bed.
Okay.
But we could adapt it to queen size by just simply moving one side out 6 inches towards the window there.
This is incredible.
And you've got enough space to kind of crouch at one end, not quite stand, but with some furniture there with what we specified, you can actually sit.
Like right here?
Yeah.
Against this wall.
Yeah, so you can sit on a bench there and pull up your socks and get dressed comfortably.
Yep.
This little window here opens up completely like a door and would be used for emergency exit if you ever had to.
Okay.
It's sized in accordance with the code and ready to jump out all of 7 feet to the ground.
Well, that's very important with all of your experience in the industry. I would like to think that all of that has been considered.
It has, yeah.
I mean, you got to have put 35 years to use, huh? So this just kind of shows how this is.
And then maybe you can look up there to the open ceiling area.
That's a good idea.
This is what really makes Nomad livable, is this extra high ceiling in the living room.
And all the windows make it feel...
Natural light is really important.
Oh, yeah.
Space this size.
I know that's one of the things we have in our home is we wanted to bring the outside in, so we have great skylights and that kind of thing. So anyway, here we are now. We're silhouetted because we've done it the other way. But anything else that you could offer us? Like, where do you see the micro housing industry going?
I believe we've created a product that's the first kind of commercialization of it. Many of the companies are building high quality tiny homes on wheels, wood frame, more traditional, using more traditional technologies. But there's limitations, right? They can only service their own country. They have to be built fully and then moved there, not flat packed. And the cost is prohibitive too, because they can be $50,000, $60,000 to $100,000 if you're getting them to do the majority of the work. Or you can take a real steep learning curve and try and build it yourself, which not many people can or have the time to do. So I think it really, I think ultimately you're going to be able to 3D print your little house anywhere, but that's a little ways off because you're not going to get some of this fine millwork and some of the things that we're used to in a comfortable home. So this is a pretty close rendition of commercialization on the tiny home market for sure, because it's so lightweight, super easy to put together, and no cutting or anything like that. So.
Well, these are the things that appeal to me, quite honestly. I'm about leveraging. And my daily, motto is connecting, engaging, collaborating, innovating,
and leveraging our unique collective talents globally to form synergistic partnerships.
Absolutely.
And while I love the tiny homes that I see people building one-on-one, I know there's a good feeling about doing that. And I'm not saying I might do one of those just to experience it one day, but I'm really looking globally at how can we leverage things to make a difference for people in the economic times. And I don't think we're going back to the way things were. You know, we have to be concerned about our resources in many ways.
Absolutely, resources are running out. As you know, we've got a recent water problem right now down in California, and we have to address that. And housing is another big problem, and economics, finding jobs, that all that comes into play. So we're trying to address that as much as possible with one primary solution, that being the NOMAD. We're actually making our own water from air, even in a desert climate.
Tell me about that.
It's called atmospheric water generation, and we can make up to 20 liters of crystal clear, beautiful drinking water a day. It comes right out of your tap. And at the same time, you could be cooling your unit, because the byproduct is either heat or cold air. So,
so for people listening, is that like one of the atom potentials?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's like 4 different models, is that correct? Let's just...
well, the basic model is NOMAD Space, which we're basically standing in right now. So it doesn't have the plumbing or bathroom in it. This one's sort of roughed in for a bathroom. The owners are going to do that later. And that's running for around $23,000 Canadian. And then up from there is the full live model, which has all the appliances and bathroom, kitchen, and it's 28,000 Canadian. Now you can add what we call NOMAD Grow to that, and it's basically an empty NOMAD. It's the shell. It doesn't have the appliances, finishes, or anything. It's a utility room that will house. It'll give you an extra 100 square feet of storage plus the loft, but it'll also house all your off-grid technologies if you're in extreme climate conditions or wherever. It'll provide your equipment for holding water, so your tanks. It'll provide your water making, which actually just goes right under the kitchen sink, so you actually don't need that for that. And with the water that you use, we can also clean that to the point where you can reuse it to grow food in NOMAD Grow through vertical growing. So you have a vegetable garden in there, and it's with a skylight and everything, and that water is recycled over and over again to create your plants, and it's also used to flush your toilets again. So
brings new meaning to raised garden beds, doesn't it?
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
So
you're
insulation.
growing vegetables all year round. It's a greenhouse essentially.
So insulation allows any season to utilize this.
Yeah, we wanted to make it flexible. I mean, it comes R12 right now. It's a 3-inch wall filled with insulation. But you can increase that to whatever you would like, because it's very easy to add just your pink or blue styrofoam you find at the lumber store on top of it, on the outside, mechanically fastened, and then you put your siding on top of that. It's very inexpensive, very easy to do, and you can get as much insulation as you want. The windows can be triple glazed, and heating this little space, if you're in a very cold climate, like we're talking about people in northern Canada, negative 50 degrees Celsius, and we believe that that will be a comfortable home, because it's not going to take much to heat. Just the 3 of us, our body heat in this unit alone is bringing up the temperature. So.
Yeah, the excitement alone about it is going to have us heating it up. Yeah, that's great. Well, Ian, I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of do this hangout. I mean,
absolutely.
I'm known kind of as a Google Hangout maven, and when I get excited about something, I don't just want to, come and talk to you. I want to allow other people to experience this, because as people find this on the internet, they're going to go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Because part of it, I think, what we've got to do is educate people that this is possible. A lot of people just don't. I mean,
no, we haven't even advertised yet, and just through Facebook and Twitter to date.
Yeah,
we've had a huge following, but we're almost afraid to advertise.
But it will all the people like me are gonna, come in. So anyway, thanks everybody for joining us today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and sit down and talk with Ian and just sort of pick his brain a little bit more about, hey, what's it going to take to get one of these over where I live, and sort about how I could potentially offer these to those of you who are interested in the U.S. and beyond. George was going to try to join us from Greece today. I don't know if we didn't get that link to him quick enough, but yeah, we have people all over the world, I think, that are going to be interested in this. I appreciate your time very much.
Absolutely, it's been great.
Yeah,
Nice
thank
to
you,
meet you.
Ian. Yeah, pleasure. Okay, you all. We'll
Bye
see
now.
you next time on the Tiny Homes Revolution Hangout.
Oh, I guess.